Next one I have for automations. What do you automate in your business? I'm gonna go with Mark first on this one because Dustin looks like a deer in headlights. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, Mark has just been working on that in terms of adding, making our website payment capable. So I'm actually using JotForm to integrate with WordPress and or Unbounce to take payments. It's actually a pretty cool tool if you've used it. Maybe we will mock Mark for using such a basic tool, but it's actually pretty cool.
Works, yeah. What difference does it make? You know, it's a payment link. It's not like a landing page. It doesn't look pretty. It's
a form. Basically, what I'm using it to do is to simultaneously take payment and push data into our ClickUp, our project management tool. So when they purchase a one-time product, a service like a landing page build or something like that, it automatically takes payment, pushes it in there. We use Stripe for this integration. And I don't really have any issue with PayPal myself either. And I noticed they just lowered their rates back to probably what Stripe was charging me. That was the only headache I had with PayPal, was that their monthly or their fee was a little bit higher.
And they're now keeping processing fees if you refund somebody. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. They came out with that maybe a year ago, 6 months, eight months ago. So it is what it is. I get it. But at the end of the day, like, you know, if someone cancels a day in and you want to be nice to them and let them out of it. I'm saying a day into recurring, not day one of the actual deal. But like month 3, they canceled day 1 and they're like, I meant to email you over the weekend or whatever. You don't want to be a jerk and you want to let them out of it and refund it. You'll lose that 20, 50, 80, $100, whatever it is, you know, processing fee. So kind of sucks.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that's a thing. But yeah, I'm just doing the integration so that things can be as seamless as possible instead of having to create an invoice, send it. And I generally do that myself. I know that's not streamlined right there, but this way we'll just be able to not only point new clients to them at the end of a sale and say, go here, and have it automatically fill out the intake form that my team needs, fill out the, one-time or recurring charges, notify everything, set up everything in ClickBook, but also we can drive traffic there and do sales, right on the website, in a perfect world.
Got it. Dustin, how about you?
Same funny thing. I just finished my basically client intake process automation, which is more or less what you're talking about, not the same tool. So we basically, what I did was I created an internal intake form. This is one that I fill out that basically is like information you'd have to send a client an agreement or an invoice. Right now, it's just an invoice. So we're going to move to like terms of service and an invoice instead of having like a separate agreement to sign. So that's the direction that I'm going next. But basically fill in an intake form internally, client's name, all their information for the invoice, what team of our, what team is going to on my side, what type of client are they using certain tools, whatever. Hit submit, sends them the invoice automatically, gets them added to our internal CRM, our high level, basically our version of it, adds them to ClickUp, creates the folder for them there, sets up, it also emails them out the client intake form, which is where they fill out, and it pre-fills a bunch of the information I've already included in that internal intake. So they don't need to put their name again. I know who they are, right? So I pre-fill that information. When that gets done, when they fill that out, and now it creates all their tasks and ClickUp with their due dates and all that. So it's been a month that I had to do this, and I actually redid it. We had to do it a different way twice. So we're in our third iteration of, first it was like we couldn't use Zapier because Zapier didn't have ClickUp custom fields, so we used Make, and then Zapier came out with custom fields last week. So I'm like, well, okay. So we redid it there, half of it, because our Make scenario was 100 modules wide. It was freaking ridiculous. And I'm like, the girl that I have doing it, I'm like, if this thing breaks somewhere, like I am not going to want to have to go figure that out. And if she disappears, I'm like, you know what? Let's just put it in Zapier. Now it's like a 15 module thing. Like that was all because of just like having to do certain things a certain way. So I learned a lot about ClickUp and the limitations of it, and also everything else, but the intake process and just getting a client into ClickUp built out, tasks assigned, ready for setup is what we did. And we're working on the next part of some of our build outs, our campaign build outs, which we have a template for, that'll work for most cases. It won't be like 100% template like you probably have, but it'll probably get 80% of the way there, which is a huge win for me, with some minor stuff. So that's the next thing I'm going to finalize with ads. The keyword part's the easy part. The ad part's a little bit different because, you have to get clients' information. You can't just put random stuff in there. So
Yep.
yeah, so that's what we did.
Very cool. I'd say all of our automations are in Asana and in Close. Close the CRM that we use. Asana, basically, triggering different things to happen. If this happens, then that happens type stuff. Not a ton of automations. Like we're not using Zapier for anything. We're not using Go High Level to trigger anything like that. I'd like to get to the point of what Dustin's talking about and getting Justin, our sales guy, to move onboarding information through a form that kicks off a folder or a new client profile in Asana and like kicks the ball going off that way. That's something that we will probably work on. It's probably like 5th or 6th on the list, but there are other ones we want to do. And then I'd say, I think automation, I also think of checklists and like different ways that you've defined a process, not necessarily just happening with magic and software behind the scenes. So yeah, I'd say that's it for us on the automation side. Outside, my most important automation is a recurring payment. Stripe and PayPal by a mile.
It's the most profitable one, huh?
Yeah, it is, but it's also like people discount the idea of sending an invoice and waiting on collection. No collections needed in this business, and it's a life-changing thing when you realize that each month you're starting off with X number of dollars, and then it auto recurs, and that sale happens. It's a life-changing thing, recurring revenue. So.
Back in the day, in another business, I used to go to the post office or wait for the mailman to come to see if I had money. And I didn't like it.
Oh, gosh.
One thing is sometimes the checks didn't come, but the work had already been done.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a bad thing to me.
I was talking sort of about that, on the RepStack podcast I just did. We're talking about like lessons my dad taught me operating with my dad. And it was a couple of them that come to mind is not every month is 4 weeks. So you can't base work invoicing off of a 4-week month. Like a lot of
4.33.
Yeah. Make the mistake that they lose that 5th week month all the time. And they
every 3 months.
Why am I losing a month's worth of work here? What's going on? So there's that. And then if it's your price, it's my terms, or vice versa. And you can't have both, can't have price and terms. And if you invoice something and you give them terms and their price, you're going to be, there's a time value to money, and that waiting on money is a terrible, scary thing in business. And you got to bring in operating capital, and it's a nightmare. So you can't, it's either your terms or your price, but the person can't have both.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you've been beating on me for this for a while, Ed. We have really standardized to a large degree the service we offer as a package. We're not saying you have to do this, but we're saying if you want this price, this is what we do. If you want us to, work in your website, your systems, we'll consider it. We'll scope it out, but we're not doing, you can't get order item number 3 off the menu at same price as you get, a handmade steak dinner or whatever, so we're trying, that was probably the worst analogies in the history of analogies, but we're trying to continue to say we can give you concierge level service if that's what you need, but you can't pay, Costco prices for it.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when we made those switches on the white label, this is going back probably, so it's funny, I can remember where I was, in what room I was in when I made certain decisions and had certain phone calls with people. I can tell you I was in that room. So that means that was at least a year and a half ago, or I made a decision. I was in that apartment, and I can tell you, and it's strange. I have that weird physical memory of where I am having certain conversations or decisions. We had that decision. I was in Hoboken. So this is going back 5 years of if we're going to operate in a white label scenario, we're only operating in our infrastructure. And if you want us to operate in your infrastructure, it's going to be obscenely more expensive to the point where it doesn't even make sense for you to do it. And that was a big thing because we used to be logging in and out of landing page softwares, logging in and out of call rail accounts.
Project management tools.
Oh, we always said no to project management tools because that.
Oh, I used to do that.
Yeah. And I remember it being scary because I was like, we're going to cut off some of the market here. Like, are we ready to do that? And it was scary, but it made quality of life on the back end of it is way more important than just more revenue. Not all revenue is created equal.
Well, and you get better at what you actually do.
Yep.
Which is the other benefit. You do cut off a market, but it's a market will serve them.
Yep.
It's just it starts at $1,500, type of thing.
Yep.
And then because in my feeling is if I'm going to market your business and I'm going to walk through and learn your systems, there's a value to that.
Yep.
And it's not $449.
Yep.
Yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a cost to it. I think the other thing with automation, really quick, just to backtrack on that we did recently in ClickUp, but I'm sure you could do this in Asana, is, and maybe for you, Ed, it doesn't make as much sense because you guys have like singular campaigns, but for us, if we have to write new ads, the client has to approve.
Yep.
Or if we have to create new campaigns, or there's something else that what we've done is create tags. So like, let's say a client says, hey, Dustin, we need a campaign for this, or they wouldn't tell me, they tell Laura or whoever on the team. When she creates that task for whoever's on that client, she'll add the tag for like new campaign. And once that task is completed, ClickUp automatically creates a new task for the senior on that team to QA that campaign. So that way, because what happened before is we'd have new things launch, and sometimes it might slip through their mind. Like I'll be like, hey, did you check this campaign? Oh, I haven't got to it yet. I forgot or whatever, right? There was like ball droppage, right? Like usually wasn't anything major would happen because a lot of times there's no issue, but sometimes there are issues. And I'd like, you know what? If I can automatically create the task when it's noted as new ads, new this, whatever. And for the new ads, it's like, okay, create a task for us to send to approval if that client needs approval, or there's a tag for confirm completion. Sometimes the new campaign is created, we launch it, it goes live, but we got to tell the client, let them know it happened, let them know it got done, right? So these tags all create these follow-up tasks. They link to the original task that says like QA campaign. There's a link to the original task that has all the details because, you might have forgot what it was exactly about because it might have been a week or something like that. I thought that's been pretty helpful too, because now you don't have to hope people will remember that, hey, we had that new thing. Did you remember to check it? Oh crap, I didn't get to it yet. Or, oh, they didn't tell me it was done yet. So now I'm like, all right, well, that's not going to be a problem, hopefully, anymore. All we have to remember is to add the tags to the task. So that's an easy one. I thought, man, how do we get around this? And it was just a simple automation and ClickUp to do that. So
I guess we do more automation than I think. It's all in Asana. Like we do exactly what you've just said. We can. So let's say we implemented the red light, green light, green light, yellow light, red light. Sorry. So
that's the worst way to ever have heard it.
I'm thinking of my kids' school program. Little side note: my daughter. It's the smiley chart. Smiley is up top. Purple, blue, green, orange, yellow, red. Lily is always smiley or purple, always perfect.
That's awesome.
Eddie wakes up in the morning. He's like, man, I'm gonna try to get on green today. I'm gonna try. He's not even close to it. He's he's like, I'm gonna try to get on basically where they start their day. Start at neutral. I'm like, oh man. So we implemented this traffic light system for health of accounts, and like not only health of account, but also perceived health of account based on client feedback on like their level of satisfaction. So once something gets triggered as yellow or red, it automatically flags a task up to the manager, the director in that role, so that he can keep an eye on it. And then from there, he can set like subtasks to follow up with it. So that's been super helpful. We're implementing the same thing with missed management payment. So like, let's say a card doesn't go through. We have a set of tasks that will initiate like a checklist of like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, day 10. And at day 10, if we haven't collected, unless there's an outstanding reason that we deem as acceptable, we're going to process as a cancellation. So that's that. I guess we use more automations than I realized, but yeah, that's important stuff because, like you said, stuff slipping through the cracks. Like, I don't know if I said this on a podcast or the interview last time, but we had a client we hadn't billed in like 9 months.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it on live or if we talked about it offline, but something like that is something that shouldn't have happened if automations catches like fail safes, nets were in place. And I think that the automations are going to help with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had one of those too. It was not good. That was before I was doing the books though.
Yep.
I never had that happen.
We've had it where we've had it both ways, where we forgot to bill the client, and then we've had it where we continued to bill the client, and so I've had both ends of that spread. We had to cut
had the
out.
good side on that one though.
Yeah,
The clients tend to notice that though.
you would think.
Yeah.
This was $6 or $7 grand over the year.
Oh,
Never noticed it, and they didn't notice it. And I ended up calling them, and I was like, guys, I fucked up. I'm going to cut you a check. And because here's the deal, it was a recurring payment through PayPal. As soon as you cancel that recurring payment, they get an email. Having said that, they hadn't seen the dozen emails prior. But there's
or the charges in their account.
What's that?
Or the charges in their
Yeah,
account.
or the charges in the account, but there's karma, and it would have come back. So I
Absolutely.
called them and I was like, listen, I owe you guys, the difference here. So I have a check for that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Rob likes to remind me of that one.